everyone's time and get us started. Good evening. My name is Mary Alex Thigpen. I serve as the director of the Greater Belhaven Foundation. I want to first welcome all of you. Thank you for being here, and a special thank you to First Presbyterian Church for hosting us tonight. I also want to recognize our board members. If you're a board member, if you'll just raise your hand. Our city officials, our councilman, Kevin Parkinson is here. Thank you, Kevin. And then we have a number of representatives from the city's search committee for our next chief of police. So thank you all for being here and appreciate the opportunity to partner with the city tonight. I'm going to go through just a few updates of things that the foundation has been doing this summer, some plans for the fall. And then I'm going to have our board member and public safety committee chair, John Scarborough, come up and share a little bit about some updates on our public safety work. And then from there, I'm going to hand it over to Ken Wilson to lead the search committee's listening session. So healthy, safe, beautiful, historic, these are just words that we want to come to mind when you think of Greater Belhaven and our neighborhood. Some general overview information. GBF is a 501c3 nonprofit. We were founded in 1999. Our mission is to connect residents and businesses to foster a vibrant, historic community. And we do this through our strategic priorities of partnering, planning, protection, and promotion. I'm going to talk a little bit about those 4 priorities later in our presentation. This is the boundaries. This is a question I get a lot, is like, what is Greater Belhaven? The boundaries are I-55 to State Street, Woodrow Wilson to High Street. That includes 2 neighborhoods, Belhaven and Belhaven Heights. So like I said, our 4 strategic priorities: partnering, planning, protection, and promotion. And I'll talk a little bit more about this, but we're in the process now of actually writing our next strategic plan. So we've come to the end of our past one. There's some copies on the table if you're just really interested and want to read through the whole thing, you're welcome to. But we are working on writing a new one, and we would love to hear from all of you and get input from all of our neighbors and stakeholders as we do that. So a recap of this summer in Belhaven, and again, these are going to be through the lens of our 4 different priorities. So facilitating partnerships. The foundation has met with city code enforcement officials. We've met with historic preservation officials. Councilman Parkinson has helped facilitate a lot of those meetings, so I'm very thankful to him. We're trying to figure out how we can prioritize blighted and abandoned properties in Belhaven, what hand the foundation can play in expediting the care and repair of those properties. We've met with multiple business owners, and we also have a business coalition that meets monthly, but this past summer we've met with the owner of English Village, the new owner of English Village. I'm not disclosing anything that WLBT didn't just disclose, and then Gabriel Prado is the new owner of that property, so we've had a meeting with him, have talked about his plans for that. We also had a very productive meeting with the new owner of the Shell Station on Fortification Street in North Jefferson. He is completely renovating the interior of that store, taking out the plated glass window around the cash register, adding a whole bunch of food in the back. He's expanding the back of the store all the way to the back of the property line and building a new fence on the right side. We also, at this Shell Station, planted new flowers in the planter there at the corner. We had both brick retaining walls pressure washed, and we're working with him on doing some more beautification on that corner. So hopefully good things to come out of that meeting. We also had a breakfast with William Lake, who has purchased Finian's. This is an example or a schematic, if you will, of his plans for Finian's. So that shows you basically the Jefferson Street view. He's planning to expand the porch out, add a green space and some other things there. So we had a meeting with him to talk about his plans and how we could help. And then we've also been having meetings with various stakeholders, Millsaps, Baptist, and others. Planning for the future. We have held 6 retrospective sessions the last 2 weeks, where we've had about 60 plus individuals come give us feedback on our past strategic plan and share what they felt like went well in the past strategic plan and what they would like to see us focus on in the future. So those have been wonderful at the office. We're going to be having a couple sessions focused on students in October. We're going to meet with Millsaps, UMMC, Belhaven, and Jackson State students to talk about sort of their perspective of living in the neighborhood. Promoting our unique qualities. Some exciting things that we have had going on in the neighborhood include a lot of physical activities. So John Harrison, our board member, has led a number of what we call the Belhaven Bike Bus, and that is a group of people on bikes who start at Laurel Street Park, bike all the way down the museum trail to the High Street Farmers Market on Saturday morning. So that's been a lot of fun. You also see a picture of some kids right here. This is the Bailey Bike Gang, and this is a group of middle schoolers who live in the neighborhood who've been biking every morning to school at Bailey. So we're really excited to see that. We also did our door hanger distribution day, and there's more copies of those on the table if you didn't see those. So our beautification committee, led by JT Mitchell, our board member, went and hung out door hangers to the entire footprint with important information about caring for your property, making sure to bring your trash can inside, all those fun things. We also supported 2 public art murals, and Bill McCarty just walked in and I had his picture on the slide. Bill, who runs New Stage Theater, was recognized with a block honorary designation of Bill McCarty Square on Whitworth Street, so we were really excited about that. And then we also had Gavin Bird come and enhance a public art mural that he did under the Laurel Street I-55 bridge. That was with help from the Mississippi Arts Commission, a grant from them. And then we also were excited to help support the Belhaven Town Center in their new Gavin Bird mural. Right there you can see this is his first 3D mural. Talked to David today. He said it's doing its job. People are stopping and sitting down in the street to take their picture and not parking on top of it. So we're excited about all those things. And then this is something that I was really happy about. I don't know if y'all know where this picture is, but this is basically you're standing on the museum trail looking at Riverside Drive. And so what we had was a sidewalk that ended right there, and then a patch of grass, and then a sidewalk that began on the museum trail. And as of this weekend, we've connected those two. Thanks for thank you to Benchmark Construction who paid for that. So we're very grateful for them. And from there, I'm going to hand it to John Scarborough, who's going to talk a little bit about the things that we've been doing to keep our neighborhood safe.
Thanks. So I'm John Scarborough. I own and operate Paul Motor car dealerships. I know absolutely nothing about policing and public safety, but somehow I got put into this slot. So
awesome, guy.
Okay, well, thank you. But anyways, here I am, a neighbor, and glad to be here and talk a little bit about public safety. When we did the CID, a large portion of those funds that were allocated were supposed to be allocated toward public safety. And so everybody's obviously interested in that, and obviously by the attendance here tonight to see what the mayor's plans are for the police chief. But so we decided to get a committee together under the Greater Foundation Board group. And so we've got a good group of folks, and we've got probably over 50 hours of work put into this effort to identify weaknesses with our neighborhood and areas where we can improve on. We have a very large footprint. We have a lot of streets going in and out. It's quite a porous area. It's probably very easy to get in and out of, and so it makes for quite a challenge. So we began to study this and to really talk to law enforcement, and so we've really partnered quite heavily with law enforcement through this committee. If you think about it, we're surrounded by law enforcement. We've got JPD and Capitol Police, of course. We've got the fairgrounds. We've got security at First Baptist Church, Jackson, First Pres Church, Sept, Belhaven, UMC. So a lot of security personnel floating around in the area, in addition to just our own security efforts. How many folks in here have cameras in your personal home? Raise your hands high. Okay. How many of you have those cameras registered with the Jackson Police RTCC? Exactly. So all of us have these cameras, but it's not integrated. It's not collaborative. And so what we're trying to do as a committee is to encourage collaboration so that we can use our each other's technology to make for a safer neighborhood. Let me give you an example. September the 3rd, I received an email or text from Mary Alex that there had been a break-in at Millsaps College. Around 20 vehicles had been broken into, and things stolen out of that vehicle. So I'm just going to read a group text that I put together with these different security personnel at each of these entities that I just mentioned, and talk about that. Good afternoon, John Scarborough here. This group text contains security personnel from JPD, Capitol Police, First Pres, First Baptist, Baptist Hospital, UMC, Millsaps, Belhaven, State Fairgrounds, and Psalm Security Services. I want to share information on this group text under the idea that the more we all know, the better off we all are. Millsaps College had 18 auto burglaries from 2:25 to 3:32 a.m. on September the 2nd. 2 males wearing dark clothes, hoodies, possible masks. One had a backpack on, the other one was wearing either white gloves or socks covering his hands, appeared to be on foot. No car was seen on surveillance cameras. I'm wondering if there's a possibility our blue light cameras in the neighborhood may have called some action in that area during this small window of time. I got a response back. I will check with Sam at the RTCC, one of the persons on this group text. I'll check with Sam at the RTCC, which is the police, JPD RTCC, which, by the way, our next committee meeting is this Wednesday at the RTCC. So that's one of my feedback items for this group, asking about the chief of police, is to have a chief of police who's highly interested in our RTCC and making full use of that facility. Anyways, here's another text. So with that being said, I think the same 2 individuals ventured over to Belhaven and got into several cars there and even stole a white Kia. So if y'all hear that anyone captured any footage of them, or even another car traveling with that white Kia, that would be helpful. Kia was last seen leaving the area at 4:48. There's a couple of pictures of the Kia. Another individual, yes, they did steal a 2019 white Kia Forte seen in the photo. Another individual said from and what location. Pretty certain they're the same ones. Gloves and masks are the same. The suspect carrying a case of water had a red shirt underneath. All this is just going on real time, just feedback coming in from different people. Baptist has, and we'll look at all of our cameras to see if we picked anything up. We have a few tag camera readers as well. And then, this is within an hour and 45 minutes of time, okay? This text came in. With a group effort and close watch and study of camera hits, we were able to get the Kia that was stolen this AM stopped and have 2 suspects in custody. They are juveniles and an ongoing investigation is occurring. So that's all I can elaborate on. Thanks for all of you who shared. So that, you kind of read about that in the paper, maybe of how some people were called on Pear Orchard, and the police happened to just catch them. It just didn't happen. It happened because of this collaboration and this effort background that nobody knew was happening behind the real scenes. And it really was pretty cool to be a part of, because that's kind of what our committee is trying to do, is just to encourage the collaboration. And so the professionalism of the police and the Capitol Police, who have the ability to find and arrest people, in conjunction with the technology that we were able to use here in the neighborhood, and the collaboration and partnership between entities, really allowed these folks to be called. We can do a lot more of that. We just need everyone participating in this. So my encouragement to the group as we leave here is, now I should have had you put it on the screen, I forgot. There's a link somewhere that you can go and you can submit to the Real-Time Command Center your information about your cameras on your house. You're not turning over your cameras access to anyone. You're just saying, hey, I've got a camera, and if something happens on my street, let me know, and maybe I can go to that feed and see what's on my camera, and I can help find that Kia Forte that was stolen. By patching together our camera network across our neighborhood, it allows us to have quite difficult for somebody to get in and out without being noticed. And that's really what we're trying to do, is just try to create more guidance and assistance for our police officer friends to give them the information they need so they can track where people are coming and going. And when you start to combine that with UMMC and the state fairgrounds and other entities, it really becomes pretty powerful. Some of these cameras are what I just call still cameras. They're just sitting there recording and recording over themselves. Some of these cameras are quite smart and can do incredible things to try to match a car that was over here with a car that was over there. That's how they caught this Kia, is by matching these cameras up with the technology that they used. So it's all pretty neat and stuff I don't understand, but the law enforcement folks do, and so we're investing in that as a neighborhood. Some of your funds, some of your dollars that you're contributing to that are certainly going toward that effort to try to add 10 additional kind of smart cameras in our neighborhood, in addition to the ones that are already here. We've got around 50 cameras in the neighborhood. I call those blue light cameras. We have around 50 of those in the neighborhood right now. All of them are up and running and working and recording. And so that's happening all day, every day, and it's just kind of sitting there behind the scenes happening. So the best thing you can do if something happens, if say your lawnmower gets stolen or whatever, is please let Mary Alex know. And she can convey that information to myself, and then we can kind of engage this internal dialogue and see if there's maybe some information we can find to help find that mower or whatever the case may be. So it's exciting. It's work being done. We have a lot of work to do, and we look forward to feedback and questions and that sort of thing on that. Many of the committee members are in the meeting tonight, so we appreciate y'all's time and volunteering for that. Any questions from anyone before I give the podium back? Thank you.
I just did a quick search for it. Could you share that with Mary Alex? We could pass it out to us so if we wanted to register our cameras.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll add the link in our October newsletter, which is going to come out Friday.
Yeah, it's a citywide initiative that they're trying to do, try to just combine, because the command center can handle all this data, and so it's really when you get all that data together and you really start allowing technology to do the work. I mean, in yesteryear, you just had to be in the right place at the right time, and now, I mean, you know, the couple at the Coldplay concert, they got caught by a camera. You know, there's cameras everywhere, and so. If we can use those productively to protect our neighbors, while also obviously we're not interested in watching where people are walking or their dogs are walking. We're not interested. We know the privacy issues, so we're aware of that. But we certainly want to make sure we're trying to make the safest possible neighborhoods we can. So.
I have a question. How do those cameras that we have work? Are they continuously monitored, or how do they come into play?
It's a good question. Question is, how do those cameras work? Are they continually monitored? There's some cameras that I call blue light cameras that are up and running and going all the time, and they only have so much storage data available, and they kind of they loop. Thank you. That's the word. They loop over themselves. So it's not like you can go back 10 months ago and get data. But the technology is improving so that you can hold onto data much longer than you used to be able to. Used to, at our dealership, you could have a day or two's worth of data. Now I can do 30 days quite easily because the DVD allows you to hold that data. The monitoring of it is changing. The monitoring of it used to be that you would need individuals sitting there staring at a screen all day long, and that's good, and certainly we would want to have that, and our RTCC probably needs to be more staffed up than it is today. But with artificial intelligence and other capabilities, now they can search for vehicles, they can search for tags, they can search for things, and so it's almost like it's used in retrospect more often than not than actual real-time monitoring to check out what's going on in a specific instance at a specific place. But the officers love this data and access this data, and they're not at the RTCC. They're around in their cars. They're using apps on their phones to real-time police and real-time look at this information to try to see how they can catch somebody. And officers love to catch bad guys. they love it, and they get excited when they can get stuff like this to help them do that. And so that's one thing I've noticed with this committee work is just how excited the officers are to see the neighborhood invest in technology that helps them catch bad guys and gives them real opportunity to do that. And so that's been really fun to watch.
And what are the other kinds of cameras? You said some were blue light cameras, and then what are the rest?
Other ones are called license plate reader cameras, LPRs, and license plate reader cameras. There's many of them. There's 28 of them. UMMC has 28 of them. The city of Jackson has, JPD has, I don't know, 20 to 30 of them. I don't know how many they've got. So you see these around. That middle picture right there is an LPR camera, and all it's doing is looking at license plates and just looking and recording those as they go through. And there are national lists of bad people, of people who that are, what's it, code pink or something for a missing kid, or code silver for a missing elderly person, but there's national databases of this information. So if one of these happens to run through the neighborhood, then some of these LPR smart cameras will alert law enforcement really within seconds that vehicle is in the neighborhood, and they can kind of triangulate and say, okay, let's find them and see what's going on. So there's those kind of cameras as well available. And we've all kind of, and I'm sorry I'm taking so long, but we've all kind of done the camera thing, right? I think there's a lot of exhaustion when it comes to the camera conversation we've had over the years, because we were led to believe they were going to do certain things, and then it turns out they didn't work, or they weren't operating, or nobody was watching them, and that sort of thing. And we're sensitive to that as a committee, because we don't want to say this is same old, but we really feel like this technology is better and more accurate and more useful for law enforcement than maybe some of them, even just 2 or 3 years ago worth of data. And by using it instructively and constructively, we can be a help for our neighborhood. But the biggest thing we can do, honestly, is to combine our individual efforts at your own homes into the more of us could, if your whole street, if you can be your street captain and go out and get your whole street to sign up, then it's going to be incredible for our neighborhood to be able to use that information. And it's not like Mary Alex and I are on Tuesday night are going in and looking at everybody's cameras. We're not doing that. This is law enforcement using law enforcement purposes for cameras. So we're just encouraging you to do that, and we think it'll help the neighborhood. All right?
Thanks, John. Okay, John's done a ton of work. He's got my vote for Public Safety Commissioner next go round. Okay, there's actually a mic here, so now y'all can hear me. Okay, quickly I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's coming up in Belhaven this fall. First, October the 2nd, which is Thursday, we're having Pumpkins in the Park. This is a free event. You don't have to buy a ticket or even sign up. You can just show up. Kiefer's sponsors pumpkins, and then we have lots of crafts and fall music, and it's a fun thing for families and kids, and that's going to be at Belhaven Park. October 4th, we have the Bring the Change concert at Belhaven Town Center. That's a free concert. You may have seen that the foundation has recently sunset Bright Lights Belhaven Nights, because honestly, it's Bright Lights Belhaven Nights every night at the Belhaven Town Center. So we're excited to see this concert coming to replace BLBN. In October 18th, we're having the Belhaven Hills Classic. That's a 16K and 8K run, as well as a fun run and a beer mile at the Belhaven Town Center, and the proceeds of that race go to support the neighborhood's parks and trails. We are having the Mississippi Heritage Trust hosting an event, the 10 Most Endangered Historic Places, and that'll be at the Heights, in Belhaven Heights, on October 23rd. And then we'll be having the foundation's annual meeting at the Fairview Inn, November 18th. You do have to RSVP for that, just so that we know how many people are coming. And if you're a donor to the foundation, we have a fun donor cocktail hour right before that you will be getting an invitation to in your mailbox. So how you can help the foundation keep our neighborhood healthy, safe, beautiful, and historic consider financially supporting our work, joining a committee, reading the newsletters that we send, and we will be sending a 2026 stakeholder survey soon. The 2025 stakeholder survey we use to inform the lion's share of our work throughout this year based on what our residents and stakeholders said they wanted to see the foundation doing. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Ken Wilson, the City of Jackson, leading the Chief of Police Search Committee. And actually, Ken, I'm so sorry. I wanted to just offer one moment if anybody had questions of things that weren't answered during this presentation for the neighborhood.
Mary, I forgot one thing that
Okay.
I really wanted to mention. We did we had a Psalms consultant go in and do an audit of kind of all the calls for services coming to the neighborhood. And we got all that data together, made a bunch of charts, and so we're gonna continue to do that and see how we're trending positive, negative, and neighborhood security. So there's some real data that we're using to help make those decisions. So just know we'll publish that to the group when we have it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Or I also wanted to offer, if anybody would like to make an announcement about an event they have coming up in the neighborhood, this is a great opportunity to do that too. No? Okay.
Just being on the New Stage Board.
Yeah.
We had a great conversation last week at our board meeting about the work that's happening in the neighborhood and the repairs are happening really quick. I think 311 is working well.
Right.
And, Bill and I are concerned about, I don't mean to speak for you, Bill, but the whole fortification
Yes.
is interesting. And I mean, I don't mean to put pressure on you, but we've been emailing about it the last couple of days.
It's been slow moving, and we
Yeah.
just hope for progress, and then I believe you mentioned you've learned about the lighting upgrades for the MDOT is gonna do, it's a ways off, but that will also relight the dark portion of Fortification Street, it's now completely dark between Greymont and the interstate.
Well, Kevin, you want to share what you told me in the hallway about our new? what
We have a public works director.
Yeah.
So this is the first time in years we have someone leading the public works department. So he was confirmed hours ago, and so hopefully we'll have some progress.
What is his name?
His name is Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Yeah, you can refer to him as Mr. Anderson.
But 311's great. I
Yes.
really appreciate the work that's
Yes,
happening.
thank you for bringing that up. We have been encouraging people in every newsletter to download the city's 311 app and to download the Entergy app and to use them as frequently as you like and submitting tickets.
Just to follow up on that, we had talked about the bill in the poll in the board meeting, and so I went in to report it, and it wouldn't let me report it because Bill had already reported it, but I got email updates, so it's nice that they're not overloading as much paperwork now, because it's not 20 people reporting.
I won't go through a laundry list of every public work project, but just one that I hear a lot about. We are aware of the pothole that has existed or the sinkhole, or whatever you want to call it, for literally decades on Linden.
Yeah.
So that one is very much on the radar, and is one thing that we're talking about.
It's a historic topic.
It's again, not to list all of them, because I know that we could spend all night,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's interesting.
Margaret, go ahead.
Did you want to mention Belhaven Boo since it's October? and
Yes,
we'll be
thank you.
interested in sponsoring that event?
Yes, that was not on my list here because we don't have our graphic quite ready yet, but the Belhaven Boo is October 31st. You can sponsor that event. Last year we had almost 1,000 participants. That's where we block off Belvoir and basically have a big Halloween block party. So if you're interested in that, come see me afterwards. I'll be happy to set you up. That's it. I'm sorry, Ken. Oh, Frank, go ahead.
So dancers from across the United States will be gathering at Belhaven University for Project Dance Jackson, highlighted by a free outdoor performance this Saturday, October 4th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Den at LaFleur's Bluff Playground by the Mississippi Children's Museum.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, let's give it up for Ken.
Finally. so once again, thank you all for welcoming us. I'm Dr. Kenny Wilson. I serve as a member on the Police Chief Search Committee at the direction of Mayor John Horhn. We have other members here of the committee, Mr. Jim Barksdale here, Senator Solly Norwood, Attorney Cal Williams, I see it in the back, Mrs. Beverly.
Hello, I'm Beverly Harris Williams.
And Miss Jackie Course, and there's quite a few others. So we've been hosting these listening sessions, I think the first of any kind in quite some time, if ever, throughout the city, at the direction of Mayor Horhn, to try to determine what are the leadership qualities that you all would like to see in the police chief. What are your public safety priorities, and what does the future of Jackson Police Department look like for you? I can talk all day, that's the educator in me. So I would prefer to hear from you all on this joint monologue. I want to know what concerns you, what keeps you awake at night. I know we've had our issues for X amount of time, but now we're bringing it to the forefront. And Mayor Horhn believes this is a great way to get everyone a seat at the table. So I'm going to open it up. That's all I have to say. We have a person that are capturing your feedback. We're going to leverage that during the selection process and take it back to the committee. There's also a survey. It's online. See if Jack, I shared Mary Alice. I'm sure they will also be an email. And all that data will be captured. We'll leverage that during the search. So please, not all at one time. I'm sure you all have a lot on your mind.
I'd like to add something.
Please go for it.
The homelessness population, and I would love for the police chief, I mean, I know that's sort of been laid at their feet when that may not be their role always, but, for that person to work collaboratively with other organizations to help address that issue.
Yeah, I do remember, I think as recent as July 1st, there was something from the legislature that requires the homeless people that are on these byways and highways to have a permit. But I do agree there needs to be a humane way to address them also, because obviously some of them are creating havoc and disdain our community. So that's something that'll be captured also. Anyone else?
We'd like to tag on to John's good report. One of the key components of policing is collaboration. And having a chief that embraces that is important. Not our immediate past chief, but prior to that, we had a chief that didn't really provide that same level of collaboration, and at least from that leadership position. But when we are able to sit in an area, as we do at Belhaven, and are surrounded by security operations, they should collaborate and be part of a team. I think they are now. And that can certainly be something that is emphasized and continues into the future.
Right, and to that point, currently the City of Jackson Police Department is partnering with all your local, state, and federal agencies, including our police, and sheriff, to make sure that they eradicate a lot of the crime and public safety issues throughout the city. So that is going on and it will continue. Thank you. And let me yield for a minute to the director.
Hello, how are y'all doing? My name is Nick Lott. I'm Director of Communications for the Mayor's Office. I just wanted to come and let y'all know how important it is. The Mayor considers this very important to get feedback directly from the citizens about this police search. I may be repeating something they've already said. And so I think this is the first time, it is the first time that an actual mayor has reached out to get input from the citizens directly. And so that's why we're here. We want to hear your honest concerns and the qualities you're looking for in your next police chief. We recognize Councilman Parkinson here, and our other committee members who've already done that. Okay, sorry I'm late. I was at the National Night Out over at Veterans Memorial and left the mayor over there. He may come in, he may not. It depends on what the next thing is. So there's constantly things going on. But thank you for being here tonight to share your feedback. Feel free to use the surveys, they probably already said that too, to give your input as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So thus far we have addressing the homeless population, collaboration amongst agencies. I'm sure. What about leadership qualities, please?
Sorry, this isn't a leadership quality, but while we're talking about issues that I think have been maybe incompletely addressed in recent years, this is not just a problem for JPD or for law enforcement, it's also a problem for the city with respect to enforcing ordinances, but, the proliferation of nightclubs and other businesses like that create a noise problem and a traffic problem and maybe attract crime, that's been a real problem for downtown businesses. I have a downtown business. It's also a problem in Belhaven Heights. I know we have residents in Belhaven Heights who have consistent issues with noise coming from a couple of those clubs on State Street. And the city has a noise ordinance, but the response that you get if you call and report it is that they don't have the right kind of meter to measure the decibel level, and so they can't do anything about it. I mean, come on, you can do better than that. So those are a couple things that I think have been not really addressed.
Yeah, I would say, my residence in Ridgewood Park, so you can imagine what we've had over there on Ridgewood Road.
Yeah.
It's actually been deplorable, and that is some of the feedback that we've gotten when it comes to measuring the decimals of, noise, but I would say that would be captured. I think that it gives the mayor an opportunity to expand, the amount of code enforcement officers that are within that department and also enforce the code. We don't need any more codes on the book, there's enough on the book, it just have to be enforced.
And that's true for derelict properties and homelessness and all those other issues as well, so thank you. Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
As a resident in Jackson, defending against it's not safe in Jackson, we sometimes want to point to the crime data that actually shows that it is safe. And especially as a business owner in downtown, seems to be one of the safest places you can be. Yet the pushback and the perception is, well, it's not safe. And you say, well, here's the crime data. And then the response is, well, they're just not writing everything in the crime data. What's your sense of how accurate that is? And it is important for me to know as a citizen that crime data is accurate and that we are writing down everything that they're aware of, so that those of us that want to use that data to defend the city can do it.
Right now, Mrs., before you speak to that.
Hi. Well, when you look at the, they said perception is reality to most of us. We see it on the news, but in reality, the data is correct. More correct now because of the method in which they use to capture that data. Once upon a time, at least when I was a cop, police, Jackson, they would tell you, well, if it's an auto burglary, coded as trespass. So therefore, it doesn't capture as a felony, but as a misdemeanor. So now the reporting system that they have now, they can't do that. And so therefore, and I'm trying to think of the name, I've been gone, I'm a retired chief of the FBI police, former JPD, okay? Come back to help my city, I love Jackson, everything about it. So, I say this to say that I believe that now, the way of capturing it now is more accurate than in the past. And so you're gonna hear pushback because of the news. The news tends to highlight everything negative and less of the positives.
Well, that's good, though. We need a chief that'll save us.
Yes. That's a leadership quality that we need. We need somebody who's gonna be transparent and positive about the city, so that we can help.
No doubt, everybody in here knows the problems. But I think everybody in here that wants to be here says that the problems aren't near as bad as they're made out to be.
And it goes back to, once again, the marketing of the city, communication comes out. That's a one voice approach to communicating. And yes, we have issues. However, there's progress. And things are better than what they appear to be. But some incidents are isolated. People are concerned, and that's why we're here. Thank you.
This goes back to ordinances, but as far as I'm aware, there's no city service to address, aggressive animals. And so if there's a pit bull off its leash, like for example, in our neighborhood, there was a pit bull off its leash, charged at my child, and I kind of started exploring, like, well, what do I do about this? And there's nothing to do about this. So, I called Capitol Police and JPD, what do I do about this animal that's uncontrolled or whatever? Well, animal control shut down, and so that's something that I would say, it's an ordinance issue, but it's an important one.
That's, yeah, very good point. So we are currently, you probably heard the mayor is forming several task forces, law enforcement, what else? Housing, several task forces to address the issues that are going on. One of those task forces is an animal control task force. And so we'll be making an announcement about that soon, but the basic point of that task force is to get back into a position where we have a department or division that's focused on animal control.
Yeah.
And many of us in here remember when they had animal control. As a patrol officer, when we had an animal out of control, we would call them, and they would come out and handle it. And like Mr. Nick just said, they're implementing that. In fact, a lot of the programs that we once had, the city for the last, 8 years has done away with. So we're excited that these things are coming back.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, just 2 days ago, I was walking on plantation and a pack of dogs pretty much chased me. I didn't know I was that fast. But yeah, they were loose, and I got an opportunity to talk to one of the owners, and she apologized, and it gets loose every now and again, just goes with cleaner now. This morning, my daughter was out, and the Rottweiler was loose. She was trying to put chalk on the sidewalk, and the dog was loose. And we were trying to figure out, like, what is going on here? But it's an ongoing issue. We try to encourage neighbors to leash their animals. But sometimes we need to leverage animal control to pick them up or get them to become a nuisance. So I agree. Yes.
I think,
Please.
so touching on 2 points over there, calling either Capitol Police or JP, and then collaboration. There've been several times where I've had to, call 911, had a situation with an employee being stalked, that person's now been arrested and is doing time. But I was told by JP, I need to call Capitol Police, and then calling Capitol Police, the line's busy. And, I've got this person on my property, in my business, that we have no clue what they have or what their intentions are, what's going on. And it's a very stressful situation, and you don't want to put any of your employees in that situation, and you need assistance immediately. Is there a way to link the 2 groups together to be able to have one number that we can call instead of this wild goose chase when we're in a moment of need?
Well, I don't know if there's one number per se, but I do know that AMR just established their 911 system or something. JP has theirs, and all other agencies. I think there needs to be a communication between all of those. As Nick was alluding to, that there's units. It's not only when there's response to call, but also if a call comes within your area. Because if you get on one side of Per Orchard, Region will pick up, and they'll have to transfer you if you've ever called, and et cetera. So I think there needs to be a meeting of the minds, if you would. Because when you call, you want someone to answer, you want to be respectful, and you need their issue addressed. So that's something that will be captured and we'll communicate it out. So.
And that's something that they had initially started a while back with our being able to communicate with other municipalities and other agencies. I think that was in the works somewhere a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It fell apart where they can directly communicate with each other. And I'm thinking that will be coming back here because that was a big push for that.
Right. Hopefully.
Just a couple things. How long is the search process? Is that a quick answer?
Well, we were eyeing 60 to 90 days, realistically, right? But this is such a critical role, we don't want to rush it. We want to make sure it's calculated and we select the best candidate from the pool. But we are moving aggressively and assertively as we can based on the submissions. But we don't want to put a specific time on it, if we would. But we are moving swiftly.
Is there a preference or desire to go with someone who is already on the force and that's what's largely being explored, or is it, or are people from outside of the state even being considered?
Right. Everyone is being considered. However, this session is the reason why we're leveraging what you all feel, right? Like, do you think we need to leave it internal? Should we expand the search nationwide like we're doing, or should we just, select the candidates come up through the ranks? It just all depends on what the citizens want. And the candidates that select their resume and applications also. We have to make sure we get this right, because this is a delicate situation.
Now, mean, obviously, we are in an area of the CCID that is largely not going to be policed by JPD anymore. I mean, it is not now really, and probably will not be in the future, with that all going directly to Capitol Police in the future. So I think we should try to take that into consideration as we, but we are a part of the city, and we are all throughout the city all the time. We work in different parts of the city, and so I'm not saying that our voice is not important, because it's very important, but our city struggles in a lot of different manners throughout our city in a lot of different ways. And I think I would ask, is the search committee looking at cities that have been effective in solving crime issues, and how they did it, and who the people leaders were in those cities when they solved those problems? Because we are not, I know you all know this, we're not unique. Other cities have crime problems, and we're not unique in that manner. And some cities have taken it upon themselves to really solve the problem, and there's a formula for solving that problem. And a lot of this collaboration based, right, when you don't have a police chief who's talking to a fed, who's talking to the judges who are working together and talking to the community. And there are people who have, there are cities who have solved that issue, the big cities, big problems bigger than ours. And I'm wondering if we're instead of trying to just kind of blindly go out and find somebody, I mean, I don't know if people here know much about policing really, but we know what the problems are, right? As we can already hear. And so is the committee gonna go, or I would maybe encourage the committee to go out, there are people who have a lot of experience in looking at how other cities have solved it, and who the leadership was, and is that
Let me just say this, my name's Jim Barksdale, I'm on the committee, and I've worked on 2 different police committees over the years in different cities. But, I agree with the point that other cities have done it, bigger cities, smaller cities, have made some progress, one of which we have invited, the 2 guys who were the outside consultants who got a lot of credit from people involved in, Las Vegas, which has made major inroads, and it's of course a much bigger city. But it has its own problems, unique problems, I guess, with their type of entertainment. But we're gonna work that issue that way. I'm a big believer as a businessman. The smartest people on this problem aren't sitting in this room. And certainly not much there. So I'm well aware of that, and I'll see to it that we do get outside advice. I've already invited these 2 people to come in, and we're just working on dates. Of course, I would like to get the new head of police force selected. I don't know if we're gonna work that close.
Talk with them about the company the people that you all are looking at to help us in this search.
I'm sorry.
Talk to them about the organization that has been selected to help in this search.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if you've heard of, it's a firm called Andreessen Horowitz. It's got a lot of credit for this, the Las Vegas improvement. So much improvement, I'm not sure I believe the numbers, by the way, I just have to tell you. Because some of these problems, you take murder, for instance. You get down to a certain point where domestic violence is gonna take place. I don't care how many policemen you got on the force, and how many cameras you got stuck up in a house. There are issues that you have to address totally differently. But, Andreessen Horowitz is 2 of the smartest people I know on this earth. I used to work with them, and, they want a bit of help, but they're so, that's one of the firms we're gonna look at. But there are others with no better reputation than some areas, particularly smaller cities. We fall into a unique, I think, size category, the size of Jackson. There are a lot of smaller cities that have tried this and don't have a bigger problem. Another one that they're politicians when the president is Memphis. I was on that police task force so long ago, I think they used batons and horses. We worked on, we got made better, made improvements, which is what happened to all these kind of projects, I think. And that's helpful. I also think that the point about statistics, we're not here to give solutions, but we're here to record the people's issues. But that's an issue that is, in my mind, one of the most important. You can't manage what you can't measure. We're going to measure crime, and the way you do it is like was said, with one of our committees who's been with the FBI and the police department for a long time. There's a way to give certified data. I mean, person comes in here and says, well, is it a trespass or is it a car theft? Whatever the answer put down can be certified, so that then you trust the data, just like you do any government figure that we trust. Maybe not with Trump, not trusting someone. But at least we fire the person that did it. I'm not making fun, that's not. I promise you we are going to look at that method of collecting statistics and data, which is, to me, one of the most important things this city can do in policing. So that then when somebody says, we got a high crime rate, you say, no, we don't. Our crime rate's as low as it's been in 15 years. Well, I don't believe they're capturing the data. Well, let me show you the certified data capture. This is certified by this auditing firm. Now, you want to argue with them? I'll give you the phone number.
So to that point, and to answer your final question that you mentioned about the number of people, the citizens in the city of Jackson, between you were saying that the Capitol Police don't police a certain jurisdiction, but as you say, it's still Jackson, right? And then we have to consider the number of cars and citizens that are in the city between 8 and 5 that don't live or come here to work. We still have to provide public safety to them. So the numbers ballooned at that time, and they're expecting public safety from us also. So all of it need to consider as far as their safety. Thank you. All right.
The word I would ask remember is credibility. When the mayor sits down in front of the legislature right now, he speaks with credibility because of his background and history with the legislature. They trust him and know him, that sort of thing. And he can speak with a certain amount of knowledge and really power because of that. And I think our next police chief needs to have that level of credibility, that they come in with enough experience. And I think having local awareness and experience is good, so we have people like that on the force. But somebody from outside that can bring in immediate credibility, that when the mayor speaks on behalf of the police chief to the legislature for money or funds, whatever, there's immediate credibility is incredibly important for our city.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we're asking about qualifications for a leader of our police force. I hope that the next leader of the police force really considers and cares about the mental health of the officers. We give our police, pretty much, a weapon, pull over folks, license to defend themselves. They feel like they're in danger, and a lot of those decisions have been made by people, I would hope, that are confident, that are trained, that are qualified, and that they're well mentally. Irrational fears and things can be life or death situations for a lot of people. So I would hope that the next chief, as a leader, understands that the mental health of the people that he or she is leading is very important to the job that we as a community are trusting them to do. And so I wonder, what ways, is there a job description already available? You said people are applying. Is there a job description that they're applying toward? And if so, in that job description, is it talking about, opportunities for a leader to demonstrate care and concern for the mental health of the officers that are on patrol every day?
Mr. Nick, can you speak to that? the job description, I don't know if it entails.
Yeah, a job description is out, and several people have applied. I don't know that we've shared the job description, but as soon as the mayor announced the interim chief, that description went out. So it's been what, a month and a half or so?
Right.
So,
Thank you.
To follow on to that, one of the things that's so critical is morale with patrol. And how the chief can emphasize the support for the patrol. Because it all happens on the beat, when it comes forward. And the individual needs to have that leadership skills to be able to bridge both worlds, from the mayor's office and the legislature to the patrolman, to be able to support all of those activities at the same time. So it's a unique skill set that comes from that.
Very much so. Morale matters. It's essential within the public safety, because they're responding to some of the most traumatizing calls you could ever imagine. So I think that definitely should be one of those qualities that their leadership have to understand, cascade that down, and their well-being matters also. So I agree. Yes. So I'm sure there's a lot of questions you all have, suggestions, recommendations. Yes, sir.
I imagine you're gonna be looking at external candidates and internal candidates. Since I've been living in Jackson a long time, we've made two mistakes. On external candidates, people came from outside and never got connected inside. And never had that credibility, all the things you're talking about. The other part were the internal candidates that just did same old, same old. So I would suggest that when you're looking at both of those candidates, you ask the external ones how they plan to get integrated into our city. And then the internal candidates, do you have the support of the troops that are already here? And what do you plan to do differently than what we've done, and better than what we've done?
That's a great recommendation, because obviously, an external kind of has to get buy-in from the ones that are there. And then internal has to get buy-in to say you're not gonna be, doing the same thing over and over again to get the exact results. Which is like running on a treadmill in place, so I do agree. That's something that we will leverage. Thank you. Any more questions, suggestions, recommendations?
And I think what he just said was very important, getting buy-in from the officers. My personal experience, I spent 10 years, we had 10 police chiefs. Okay, so I can understand that. Getting buy-in from the officer, keeping a good police chief, so that he or she may, in fact, learn the community, let the community learn it. So that was good.
I know you said 60 to 90 days. What can citizens expect as far as like communications from the city office about the progress on this search, or?
Sorry, I missed that question.
What can they expect? What can the citizens expect, as it relates to the progress in selecting a chief?
yeah, so the next announcement will be the new chief.
Okay.
that we're nominating for the city council to approve. You probably know the process. The mayor will get with the special task force committee tasked with this, and talk with them, and probably decide on 2 or 3 candidates, and take some interviews. And when he makes the final decision, he will put that person up for a vote before the city council to hopefully be confirmed. But we will make an announcement when we have the decision.
And when he does that, with the information that we have consolidated from you all, the citizens, we have like 6 different locations spread all out over the city, getting input from you all, so that you all can be a part of selecting your chief. So that's why we're here. That's why we're taking good notes, so we can take it back and share with him what you all expect your leaders to do.
Thank you. And to that point, I have a question for the audience, 3 questions actually. You just do it by show of hands, and you just to let us know how you feel. If you would like the candidate to be from internal to Jackson Police Department, raise your hand. want the candidate from inside of the Jackson Police Department? You know, okay. If it doesn't matter to you, doesn't matter.
My preference is internal. My preference.
Can you share with us, when you mentioned internal, just elaborate a little bit so we all.
Well, an internal person, they know the city, they know the issues that we have, and they know the concerns of our community. So to me, a person who already knows and doesn't have to come in and take a year or so to learn will be able to do a job faster, to me. Will be able to get more involved quicker.
So he can hit the ground.
He can hit the ground running.
So when if an external candidate comes in and selects internal staff, command staff, does that work?
That would work. As long as he's working with people that are within the city,
Right.
not necessarily in particular, but around the city.
Right.
You know, get the best people
Already here.
that are here to work with that person.
So then we have inclusion there with external, internal. Our hearts and minds are satisfied at the time.
Well, it really goes back to buy-in, right? Because whether it's external or internal, this is a leader. So the people that are working for him and the people that he's representing want to be led by someone they respect. So it doesn't really matter if it's internal or external. They can learn the problems or they already know the problems, but it's how they're gonna lead that matters.
Do you have a system, for checking references outside the references they give you?
Absolutely. We do have a firm that we're leveraging for that. And we take that feedback or response from what they find and we let it submit it to the committee. And we go over it, find some common.
Yeah, just, several important positions that we have had in the past, not necessarily police chief, but school superintendents and other things that we hired, we found out later, they have bad history. Obviously.
And that's a great point, checking those references, because put out there with previous heart surgery, and they probably talking about a toy doll or something, right? You have to be careful with that, absolutely. We are leveraging that on the third part.
I'd really like to see the next police chief to take interest in the traffic cops again. Traffic in Jackson has gotten completely crazy. I mean, you can't, this is the one city that you can go and run. I have people go around me at a red light. You can go on 220 and they're doing 100 miles an hour. Seriously. And nobody's around to catch them anymore. It used to be 10 years ago. We had traffic cops posted at different places. Now this is the city you can do anything traffic-wise and you're gonna get away with it.
Yes. You know, that came up last night at one of our others, the same thing. They asked, what about these red lights? Why do these people just, red lights are there for a purpose.
Especially when they go around you.
That came up, and exactly. And we all know, once upon a time they had, a lot of traffic cops, right? On motorcycles. You go speed up 55, most likely you're gonna get caught. Well, we know that has, over the years, has kind of sort of like gone away for lack of a better word. But these are things we're gonna take back, and we're expecting our new leader to enforce that. But it's like, and I hate to say it, they probably keep me off the team, but for 8 years, they hadn't been policed. And when people consistently do the same thing and there is no repercussion, guess what? They keep doing it. And I hate to use this in parents, but it's just like your kid. You tell them, don't do that, little Johnny. Little Johnny keeps doing it, you do nothing, guess what? It keeps going, doesn't it? And so that's what's happening now. We're in a point right now that people say they want police, but they do not want to be police. And we're going back to that. Okay, I'll kick me off.
No, but to that point, I agree. I'm teaching my 16-year-old to drive, and every morning we're going to school, someone right through the light.
Yeah.
They just I mean, not a yellow one, a red one, they just don't straight through. And I'm praying for the people that are coming across those intersections because,
Really?
yeah, I mean, yeah, because they're gonna be blindsided.
All the people that are gonna get blindsided,
Right.
not the people
The
that
cop
are.
do, she says the cop does it.
JPD and Capital have gone through as well, it's not just citizens, so I think there should be some accountability.
So high level, we should be, the police chief should be.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I've been told by,
Sure. So high level, police chief should be building out traffic again, building it back up so that they can enforce traffic laws throughout the city. Because I see them on 55, but in our communities, in the school zones, et cetera, they need to enforce them.
Makes sense, if it's law abiding, it's everywhere. And when you have no, belief in the process, it just cascades. So not only is it unsafe, but it's psychological impact that you just stated.
Yes, I like to see stricter measurements against people that just randomly shoot in the neighborhood, like you hear gunshots. We need to, have like strict measurements for that put in place.
Well, I tell you, you got hats on the 4th of July news.
Other than that time, that time.
So it's family, right?
Yeah, just during regular.
I'm excited about them getting shot fired.
Yeah, there's a shot fired.
Where those shots are coming from. That's a plus, Mr. Councilman. They need to fund.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, going back to the traffic part and all that, it seems that the reputation for JPD is that they don't have enough officers. So I think one of the qualities that a police chief desperately needs is to be able to recruit and retain officers.
Yeah, to that point, I'm in agreement. I want to recruit but retain, and it goes back to what we spoke about the morale, the pay, how they're being treated, do they feel cared for, their well-being, and their capacity. So I agree.
Pay is going to be number one. I'm serious, because they lost some good officers to surrounding metro areas, because they paid them more.
But I would say I agree also, there has been, what, 2 races over the last couple of years? for officers?
Right.
But there's more,
There are.
but the cost of living has increased obviously, and, I think that, the councilman, the legislative body will look at that once it's presented by.
That's a dangerous job when you leave home.
Yeah.
None of us know.
Well, they have increased. Now, JPD is at a level now with a lot of the surrounding areas.
Right.
But as a cop, I would personally say, yes, pay is important because of course you want to pay your bills. But it's also have to do with the mental issues that the officers face, the gentleman stated. It also has to do with the fact that they feel supported. Respect, thank you. It's those things, it's not just, it's pay, don't get me wrong, pay is important, but it's not the entire, it's not total.
To me, that's where your retention comes in. You gotta get someone in, but when you want to retain them, that's where that support, that I'm being supported and all of that.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else? Sure you got something you want to state? Yes, please.
I have a question. Is there a burn ban in Jackson? Cause a lot of people burn stuff and it's just ridiculous.
Well,
So is there a
there
burn
was,
ban?
the burn ban was lifted.
Yeah.
Is there a burn ban?
I'm not sure.
I had been called recently and I was told there's not a burn ban, but you do, I think, you need to get a permit, depending on the size of what you're burning.
Yeah, I think.
We were talking to the fire department, that's what I was.
For quite some time, the burn ban was lifted in the city of Jackson.
I
They
see
were-
some people on the side of be shooting the air. I'm like,
Yeah, and then they don't have water source extensions. So that's
it
something.
pollutes the air. And you can call the fire department, they'll put it out, but they go right back burning.
Yes.
I'm also concerned, or I hope that the police chief, this police chief has a sensitivity to, reports through entrepreneurial things, just a way to engage young people and give them the support that they need in order to address maybe the conflicts that may be coming up, or just day-to-day mental health things like that.
So there's a task force for that, you probably agree with the commercial, there's an app for that. There's a task force for that as well. Representative Takia Williams is co-chairing that. They're putting members from different organizations on that task force, and we'll announce that soon.
Yeah, and in addition, the Jackson Police Department is hosting youth programs, and the Jackson Fire Department is also trying to mitigate the impact and encourage their youth to make decisions that are fruitful for their future. But I agree, we have some youth issues there, but there are only 32 beds at the Young Youth Detention Center for a reason. Because we don't want to imprison those students, those youth, if we don't have to. We really want to provide avenues that are fruitful to be in college and move on to be, great citizens of society, if you would. But I do agree that's something that needs to be addressed, or what have you, and we're looking forward to those task force yesterday.
Hello everyone, sorry for walking in late. I'm Zion Washington. I'm a sophomore undergraduate political science major at Jackson State University. And one of the things that I would really like from the new chief of police is the implementation of a civilian review board. Something I've been hearing from the constituents is a greater desire for a police task force. And one of those things is we're going to need greater transparency on exactly what these police officers are doing on the ground, whether it be police misconduct, whether it be situations on the ground that we don't hear about. And so I actually just got done speaking with the Mayor John Horhn, about implementing a civil review board, and he said he wasn't opposed to it, and I've consulted with several social workers on the matter as well, and they've told me that in the past, Jackson actually tried to implement a civilian review board in the past, but it was stalled due to some bureaucratic conflict. I'm not sure what that exactly meant. So I'm just hoping that the new chief of police is willing to work with the mayor in providing transparency and fostering better relations with the community by implementing a civilian review board. So that's something I just wanted to say.
All right, thank you.
You do know that they already instituted the Civil Service Board.
The Civil Service Committee, which oversees the employees over the city, I was actually looking more towards the constituents because I'm familiar with the Civil Service Committee, and I'm not trying to be combative.
No,
I'm just trying to state that we have something that protects the employees and the city workers, but we need something that really represents the constituents. So I was just seeing that that's something that we could possibly get going.
And I think we talked about this previously, and I think my question was, how does that board look? Is it from citizens, taxpayers, or are we business owners? How does it look when you get ready to market it to the city council or the mayor, or whomever that makes those decisions?
Yeah, your original question was actually, what does it look like? Who are we choosing to represent the civilian review board? And I said we could actually recommend somebody from each ward, whether it be Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, and we can work with the city council to determine who is eligible to actually fill in these positions. Now, in terms of where the taxpayer dollars come from, that's something that directly comes from the city council. I wouldn't be able to answer it. I'm only 19 years old. So that's something that I'm willing to do my more research on to figure out, but directly asking me that right now as a constituent, I don't have an answer. Which is why we have actually Kevin Parkinson, and he's been doing a lot of work in the city of Jackson. So if that's something that we need to work on, and it needs my input, I'm willing to work on it as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to know if you are to address how the issue of domestic violence might be a part of the process, or is it a topic that you all are discussing?
Domestic violence. Someone spoke on that earlier.
Yeah, someone's talking about that.
But I think you were talking about how it's challenging the police that in the home or something.
It does, because even when you think about homicides, you're like, oh, the number of homicides. Well, we all know that most of the homicides happen are between people. These are not strangers. These are people that know each other. There is no way we can police the homes. Police friends that are barbecue, husband, wife, we can't police that. Domestic violence is a serious issue. It has always been. There is a law which started out in California because policemen, I just give you quickly, they went to a call, a domestic violence call. the man or woman was bleeding. The police did not do anything, they left. And they failed to remove anyone or protect anyone. So as a result, they were sued. So now there's laws on the book against domestic violence. We would like to think that the chief of police, our new chief of police, would also give credence to that. They have several units within the Jackson Police Department that deals with that. So I would like to think that they will continue, Nick, to have those type of services available for those involved in domestic violence. But now, the requirement is, if the police go to a scene of a call, and they can show signs that there has been violence, they are required by law to remove someone from that scene. That's required by law. So we would like to think that our chief of police would emphasize enforcing those type laws.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any other specific question.
Did we answer your question or we did not?
I think so. I guess I was just like trying to understand Jackson's numbers, you know, how things are going in specific categories for crimes, but domestic violence doesn't seem to be going down. So I was just wondering if that was something that.
Yes, so in every aspect of being the police chief, it's all unaffected, so yes.
Right.
Any other qualities you would like to see in a police chief? How would you like to see what should be there? Priority? Is it her priority?
Yeah.
Or what does the people of Jackson Police Department look like?
Is there opportunity for the new chief to collaborate with the former Chief Wade? Because a lot of his initiatives were very positive and moving in the right direction. Chief Wade, former Chief Wade open to this?
That I don't know.
I can't speak for the former
Yeah,
chief.
yeah.
I'm sure he's enjoying his much less stressful job. I cannot speak for him.
But you still have the people that he had implementing those programs. They're still there.
Anyone else? More questions, recommendations?
Well, Dr. Wilson, I've sent the survey out to a number of people, and I will share that through the foundation's newsletter as well. Yeah.
First of all, thank everybody here. I've been taking notes, and if you brought up something and you want to talk more about it, please come talk to me because I have lots of thoughts on all of these. But the number one thing that I'll say is I've hired people before. I'm sure many people in the room have hired people before. When you hire people, you have a list of required skills, and then you have a list of wish list items, bonus skills, if you happen to have to complete the package. The job description is out, it's available, but at the end of the day, the committee is going to be making their recommendations, the mayor is going to be making their recommendations, and the city council is going to confirm this person. And so I'm sure the job description is a generic framework, but what those required skills are and what the bonus skills are is, I think, very much going to be influenced by you all if you make your voices heard.
Right.
It is not going to be possible for Jackson Mississippi to get somebody who is perfect in every single conceivable area. And so what we need to do as a community is decide what are those items that are absolutely required and what are the items that are bonus. And maybe it's we can get the leading expert in animal control. If that's our thing, that can be the required scale. We can get the leading expert in domestic violence. We can get the leading expert in traffic. We can get the nation's best person who works with the media and can tell a good story and can collaborate. We can get any of these, someone who can work across agencies. Somebody who can, it's not likely that we're going to get an expert in every single one of those. So what are the things that you want the search committee to be looking at? What are the things that you want the mayor to be considering? And what are the items that you want city council to ultimately go on? Really spend some time thinking about that. And I encourage you to think about both what are our current gaps, what are we not addressing,
But also, don't lose sight of the things where it's like, we've actually made progress in X area because we've made a big emphasis on there, and we have to make sure that the next week is also picking up the feed. So think about the things that are going in the right direction that we absolutely want to continue, and some of the gaps. And then just think, what are the most important things, and then what are the items that it's like, oh yeah, also if they're good at this, if they're good at that, they're good at that, that's a bonus. But what are the things that absolutely must be true of our township?
Good point.
All right. Okay. All right. There
I'll
you go.
give you a like to have.
Sure.
I agree with the point of it, you got it in the Indian description. You have to have these, you'd like to have these, and so when the interview process gets down to the level, I think it's important that they be in good physical shape. I mean, we've been, I'm not gonna say anybody's upset about a past people because they weren't that I know of, but I would like, if I were interviewing, I think it would be helpful if they were in good physical shape. Now, whether that disqualifies you or something, I don't know. Maybe you can't put that on the resume. I'm not talking about you.
No,
What? It would sure disqualify me. Okay, I'll shut you.
All right, I'm working on, putting the QR code to that survey up right here. So if you would like to scan that, hopefully it works. Just made that like 1 second ago, so if it doesn't, give me forgiveness, it works. So if you want to complete the actual survey, there is your link to it right there.
All right, if there's nothing else, we're about to close out. Once again, we thank you all. Please share it with your neighbors, those are in your church, coffee shop, whomever. We really need that feedback, so give yourself a round of applause. Thank you.
Thanks so much for attending. Feel free to mingle for a bit afterwards, but really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thanks so much.